Imagine waking up in a world where China and India, not the United States, are setting the rules for the global trade, technology standards, and security alliances. A world where economic deals are brokered in Beijing, diplomatic disputes are settled in New Delhi, and new technology hubs are rising from the east, not Silicon Valley. This isn't a future from a sci fi movie. This is a shift that's already underway. Today, I want to talk about something that affects all of us, even if it doesn't make it to the headlines, the shifting of a global power. And I want to persuade you that the United States must adapt to this new world, multipolar world, not by resisting the change, but by emerging cooperation and modernization to remain a global leader. To give you a clear path through today's talk, here's what we'll cover. First, I'll share how the global power is shifting, especially towards Asia. Second, I'll explain what's at stake if the US doesn't adapt. And third, I'll offer a set of concrete strategies that the US can adopt to thrive in this changing world. Let's begin. For decades, the United States stood as a world central power. But over the past 20 years, countries like China and India have emerged as serious players. According to the Carnegie Endowment, both China and India have gained influence in international organizations, global trade policies, and regional diplomacy. China has launched infrastructure projects across the Africa, Asia, and Europe through its Built in Road initiative. Meanwhile, India has grown into the world's fifth largest economy as it is leading major tech innovations in fields like digital banking and space technology. And modern diplomacy reports that these countries are not just catching up, they are setting the pace. They're forming new alliances like BRICS and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. And they're rewriting the rules of engagement in global politics. They're investing in education, innovation, and soft power initiatives that not only boost their influence abroad, but also attract international partnerships. So, what does this mean? It means that the US is no longer the only superpower at the table. And this is not necessarily a bad thing, but this is something we need to prepare of. This is something we need to prepare for. We must recognize that leadership today is no longer about control. It's about credibility, agility, and collaboration. Now that we have understood the power shift, let's talk about what's at risk if we pretend not happening. Let's be clear. This isn't about firmography. It's about facts. According to the Marshall Central, China and Russia are actively working together to counterbalance US influence. They're increasing military cooperation, building digital surveillance networks, and investing in emerging technologies. And this isn't happening in isolation. It's part of the border strategy to reshape the global order. If the US clings to outdated foreign policy models, we risk being left out critical trends, deals, and global decisions. According to the Council of Foreign Relations, a fragmented global order without the US adoption could mean losing our edge in diplomacy, technology, and even defense. And this is not just about international politics, it hits us close at home. So imagine only fewer job opportunities in the global tech firm, less access to the emerging markets for American businesses, or weaker security alliance that could leave our interest vulnerable. When we fail to engage proactively on the world stage, we fall behind not just in influence, but in innovation, economic growth, and global leadership. So, what can we do about this, right? So let's talk about solutions, because if we act now, we can still lead, but in new and smarter ways. So, first, we need to invest in innovation. Now, what does it mean? That means putting real funding into the AI, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, green energy, and digital infrastructure. And these aren't just buzzwords, they are the engines of the 21st century progress. As the CFR reports points out, leadership in these areas will define the next centuries. We must make sure that the American companies and the institutions aren't just participating, but leading the conversation. Second, we must build bridges, not walls. So, collaborating with emerging powers like India, Brazil, South Africa, and even some countries in Southeast Asia will strengthen global trust and create new partnerships. This isn't about surrendering power. It's about sharing leadership in a world where no single country can go it alone. When we listen to our global neighbors, we don't lose power, we gain perspective. And third, and final one, we need to rethink of diplomacy. Now, this is the main concept, so let's focus less on dominance and more on influence. On creating global coalition around climate change, health, education, and digital ethics, let's lead not by threat, but by example. Because the world doesn't need another dominant force, it needs a partner that can bring people together in the time of uncertainty. Let me bring this home. So, we are living in a time when power is no longer concentrated in one single place. It's spreading, evolving, and transforming the world around us. So, the US can either fight to maintain an outdated idea of dominance, or we can evolve in a smarter and more collaborative global leader. We have the resources, we have the innovation, we have the global reach. So what do we still need? We just need to adapt to the change. So what can you do? Well, you have to stay informed, ask questions, vote for the leaders who understand the global stage, who can bring the real change, who can understand the global stage, and speak up in the classrooms, communities, and conversations. Be the generation that doesn't fear about global, but rises to meet it. Because in a world no longer led by one, the strongest move isn't to dominate, it's to collaborate. Thank you.